Sprinter was Thierry Henry, flash,
Had the lot.
proper stylish. Moscow was Wayne Rooney, bit of rough and tumble, but equally effective.
He's just mumbling flying bolt like
Yeah.
your old grandfather
I
at
know.
Christmas.
I keep thinking about Ted Walsh.
Flying bolt.
We'll wake him up every so often, just a reminder. Hello and welcome to Inside Track, the debate brought to you by William Hill. My name is Kate Tracy, and on this week's episode, we're going to be ranking our top 5 2-mile chasers. And we've brought out the big guns for this one because I'm being joined by 3 William Hill ambassadors. Gold Cup and Grand National winning jockey Barry Geraghty, 20-time champion jockey Sir A.P. McCoy, and 9-time HWPA Broadcaster of the Year, Nick Luck. So guys, delighted to have you all here. Now you've got the brief. Top 5 2-mile chasers to be ranking. And the horses I would like you to rank here are Sprinter Sacre, Altior, Moscow Flyer, Masterminded, and Edredon Blur. So you've got your whiteboards, you know the score, take it away. Now, whilst the guys are finalising their lists, a reminder to like and subscribe to William Hill Racing's YouTube channel and also hit the bell notification so you never miss an episode with Inside Track, the debate episodes released every single week. Okay, guys, are you ready with your finalised list for the big reveal in 3, 2, 1? Oh, and Barry, who have you got as your top?
No way.
No, you can't have that.
No way.
Sprinter Sacre on top for all 3 of us.
Yeah.
Oh, and a cross between. Okay, Barry's taking a bit of a
come
cop out here.
on. That's
right,
the biggest
Barry,
cop-out I've ever seen.
That's no way.
Barry, you need to explain this first and foremost cop out. So
No
off
problem.
you go.
No problem. So, Sprinter Sacre, they obviously both won 2 champion chases, both superstars. Sprinter Sacre, no doubt, amazing. The most exciting thing I ever rode. But Moscow Flyer would beat a 150 horse 2 lengths, and he would beat his Artium 2 lengths. And he beat his Artium 2 lengths in the Tingle Creek with his ears pricked. So how much did he have in the tank? Moscow Flyer went 4 full years unbeaten. He ran in his first 24 chases. He unseated in 3 and fell in 2. He won the other 19. Had he stood up, he could be the winning most horse of all times. Therefore.
So it's trying to. So you couldn't possibly differentiate between the pair of those 2
So
at the head.
Sprinter would give you everything and show all his class, where Moscow would be dawdling along.
So 2 very different types of horse.
Completely different. So Sprinter was Thierry Henry, flash,
Had the lot.
proper stylish. Moscow was Wayne Rooney, bit of rough and tumble, but equally effective.
I mean, yeah, we'll take that as a compliment for now anyway. I was wondering how you were going to try and separate these 2 at the head. But the
Not very well, obviously.
Not very well, clearly.
Yeah.
No, he's
Never.
completely
Is what
self-defensive.
we're getting at.
No, never. That goes to the grave. There's no splitting those.
The great diplomat. The great diplomat.
No,
But
it can't-
surely when you were riding Sprinter Sacre, you can't have ever had a feel like that off any other horse.
Absolutely. That's no doubt.
So he gave you the best feel of any
He gave me
horse
the
you'd ever
best
had.
feel. I never rode anything like him.
And he never, ever, ever felt like he was going to fall. So he had no flaws.
No, he had no flaws.
Moscow did.
Yeah.
Moscow did, but who was better?
Well, the one with the least flaws was better, is he?
Yeah, I don't know, the most flaws went for longer. He went 4 years unbeaten.
And I suppose in fairness to Moscow Flyer, he was consistently beating a better group of horses, wasn't
there's
he?
Artium.
Well, he was, but in fairness to Sprinter beat Size in Europe 20 lengths,
Who won a champion chase?
who won a champion chase. So, but the point I make is that Moscow would beat a 150 horse 2 lengths, and he would beat his Artium 2 lengths. How much more do you have in the locker? Arguably his performance in his second champion chase that he won in 2005, when he beat Well Chief an easy 6 lengths. His Artium was nearly tailed after missing the water jump. Like, that was devastating, and that was at 11. So how good was he at 9?
So they're both running the champion chase.
Yeah.
You can't ride the both of them, Barry.
No, never. There was talk of kicking.
You can't
King
ride the
Moscow
both of them,
running
Barry.
One King George. That was never
I know
happening.
you were good, Barry, but you can't ride both of them.
So we're talking about the different eras though, and Nick, you've just said it there about the vintage era potentially, and Barry was also alluding to that as well. And would we possibly say Moscow Flyer, you've got him both as 3rd on your list, would Moscow Flyer's 2-mile chasing era, would that have been the vintage one?
See, it's a bit unfair.
I don't know, because if you look at Viking Flagship and Deep Sensation and Waterloo Boy. There was a load of those Remains Man. There was a load of really good. We forget, Kate, very quickly about once the new thing comes along and we see it on TV. You think, oh my God, that's the best I've ever seen.
See, I would still hark back though to that. I mean, I would have only been about 10 years old then at the time, but that was the era that got me hooked on horse racing in the first place, was that 2-mile division with your Well Chiefs, your Azertiops, your Moscow Flyers, who was the pantomime villain for a British...
Did you just say you were 10?
I didn't realise this was an ageist podcast, Nick.
Oh, it won't be the first time I'll make reference either.
I'll go and sit on my own then, will I? I know you could actually...
Oh, you already always say it.
Obviously.
Oh, really?
You could just about come with me.
I could definitely come with you.
Okay. So we're going for like Remains Man and Waterloo Boy
Harking back.
and not even like Viking Flagship and Clarence Davis.
Hang on, where's
and
Flying?
Big Sensation.
You're going Flying Bolt. Yeah. So you're
Flying
lads,
Bolt,
you're
Sprinter
60s
Sacre.
babies then.
That's not 70s for me. But hey,
Ted Walsh will be there throwing pelters at
Actually, I think Ted said Flying Bolt.
Flying Bolt's the best.
the best horse he ever saw in his life.
Yeah.
Did he say that?
Yeah, he said
Really?
Ever in his life.
So if you were allowed one wild card added to this list, would that be who you go for?
Look, I love Ted Walsh, but he said Flying Bolt, and he obviously he's seen them all. And I say we as young people in society now get in the habit of just when we saw it last week on TV, it's the best I've ever seen.
Recency bias is paramount.
They love this is the best ever. Do you know what I mean? We forget very quickly what
it's quite a young division compared to the 3-mile chasers as well in terms of Flying Bolt, Basworth Boy, and one or two of those I'd say you'd probably have in there as well. But these are. I'm interested to know why you've got masterminded ahead of Moscow Fly. I have, but it's for very shonky reasons. But
look, I get Barry was because I suppose he had less flaws than for 2 years. Like a champion chase, when you won a champion chase, a 5-year-old, I've never seen a horse win a champion chase like that.
No, but
absolutely destroy and even the likes of Viper Stead is different. Good horse he beat. Like,
that year he was.
And again, you go into longevity and you think, Moscow Flyer did last longer, but I just think. He was an absolute bust. I was lucky enough to ride him twice, and he was an absolute bust to ride.
But when he bombed,
win them twice.
Bombed.
Yeah, just about. Yeah, but he was a bust, like.
Right.
But that's how good he was. He won with me and him twice. But he actually, and I just thought the champion chase when he won as a 5-year-old, I just thought.
There was a wow factor to that. Yeah, there was, no doubt.
And how much of a feat is that as a 5-year-old then to do something like that?
It's rare.
Well,
and he'd only been in England 5 minutes as well. Nichols had run him in a handicap at Sandown. And then the game spirit, where poor old Alan King trudged back to the second place enclosure going, what the hell's that's beaten me?
Was that with Voipor? Voipor Aesthetis, who just butted heads with him all the time.
And look, we are being harsh on Moscow Flyer, and because the Tingle Creaky one was a brilliant race, like, when he beat Azertiop and El Chief, and they were proper 2-milers, the both of them.
So you're regretting it? Or?
No, I'm not. No, I'm still going Mastermind because I think if I was to ride them, that's the order I'd ride them in.
Oh, right.
Really? That's interesting then. So Altior, I thought he looked as safe a conveyance as you could possibly get.
Nearly too safe. No, I'm going in the. I'm contradicting myself a bit because the really good ones are right on the edge, aren't they?
Absolutely.
And he was on the wrong side of the edge a couple of times.
Moscow.
Altior was never going to be on the wrong side of the edge.
Altior, you'd think were on fire at times.
If anything, he nearly jumped too high at times when you're watching him,
Yeah, he was almost that bit too safe rather than a
Bleu
was
more of a Moscow Flyer. He was on the only reason why he won a champion chase because he was a good jumper. But if the ground got soft, I rode him on Punchdown one year, the ground was soft, he literally, if the fences were like 6 inches too big for him, he was horrible.
Right.
So...
it's not Altior's fault. I've got Altior at the bottom, and it's not his fault. I mean, I've kept Nicky and Henderson happy here and annoyed him here.
So where does Altior stand on the winning most horse list?
Oh, he's right up there, isn't he?
19 race winning streak.
Did he beat Big Bucks' record?
He beat Big Bucks, and you have him last.
I think he had a lot of soft wins. I didn't feel that any of the generation of horses that he was facing were what Moscow Flyer was doing, or what Masterminded was doing, or even what Sprinter Sacre was doing.
For me, a lot of that would have been his style of racing, though, because he was behind the bridle. Especially in the latter years, he made it harder work than I'd say it really was. When he won his second championship, he beat Politolog, which shouldn't be, wouldn't excite you.
No.
But he just made hard work of it.
Didn't.
No, it didn't, yeah. But he made hard work of it. But he was a winner of a Supreme, he was a winner of an Arkle.
Yeah, so it's 9
Eberdon Blue was a good horse.
He was
but
yeah.
he
He won a King George and he won a champion
he
celebration chance here. Foot
yeah,
but
Haldon Gold
he might have
Cup
won 2
and
champion chases.
Probably Peterborough Chase.
All sorts of fuzzy. There's all sorts of fuzzy logic here, but I suppose I loved Edredon Bleu because he gave so much
as
for
well,
such a long time, and he won a King George. And I wonder if
Bringing in the King George horse to the 2 mile chase.
I'm only going on which horses if someone said to me, there you go, you can ride them.
So that's the order of. So Altior's a bit too dull for you to ride. Edredon Bleu, why would you not have been that fussed about riding him?
No, I loved riding him. But I didn't. He was like, he wouldn't. If he missed, he wouldn't have won a champion chase.
So you just talk about Edredon Bleu and his versatility in terms of trip. Which of these other horses do you think could have won a King George then? Because of course Masterminder tried it on his last attempt. That didn't go so well for him. But the rest of these.
Maybe Moscow Flyer would he have not?
His last win was over 2.5, was in the Melling Chase at Aintree.
he was good that day too, wasn't he?
He was. I wanted him to go for the King George until Kicking King appeared. Didn't want him to go for it then.
And you suddenly put
You were
that.
good like that, were you?
Me and Jessie got on great,
She listened.
she had great weight in my opinion.
Altior was the obvious one, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Well, he was a little bit of a Shishkin kind of type.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, very
But
much.
I always
Maybe
wonder,
maybe
Nicky
a little
Henderson in the
faster.
early days, he did it with Remittance Man, didn't stay.
Yeah.
Did it with Travado, didn't stay. And I just wonder whether that
Yeah.
Yeah.
got lodged in his head after that.
Yeah.
And do you think, Nick, I'll throw that back to you about Altior, and we talk about horses that have faced adversity in their careers. And of course, that winning streak of Altior came to an end in the 1965 chase, where he lost his crown to Surname then. But do you think, sort of from a public perspective, that drew us more to Altior, the fact that he was then beaten, he tried something different, or do you think that was a bit of a regretful decision?
Oh, I don't think it was a regretful decision. I mean, Nicky might regret it, but fair play to them for doing it and getting into the teeth
He
of
did
the
regret it, especially would have been his first run of the season, because he didn't recover from it until the spring. He could have taken that on a second run. Why does a footballer taking off at 70 minutes?
But he'd already
first
achieved
game.
so much at that point. At some point, you've got to roll the
You
dice.
do, but at what price?
Fear of defeat now is starting to inform people so much, as it didn't in the case of Moscow Flyer when.
Flying Bolt.
Jesse ever worried about getting Moscow Flyer beaten?
No, but he was a different type of horse. He was your rough and tumble. He'd line out for you every day. He was a slower horse at home, so he was fitter as a result. With a fast horse at home doesn't get as fit. They're not as resilient.
They do it easy. Yeah.
They get it too
do
easy.
the work easy.
AP's just mumbling Flying Bolt like
know.
like your old grandfather
I
at
know.
Christmas.
I keep thinking about Ted Walsh.
Flying Bolt.
We'll wake him up every so often, just a reminder.
Is he turning into
What was your
Father Jack?
What was your first champion chase then, Nicky?
What that I can actually remember
You won
watching.
the horse you thought, oh God, he was an exciting horse. Because I actually thought it was the best race to ride it.
And Flying Bolt was the most exciting one. You saw.
I can't quite remember. I can't quite remember back to Badsworth Boy.
No, me
I
either.
could just about remember horses like Pearly Man.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Very promising.
Yeah,
those
very
sort of
promising,
horses.
What about you, Afi? What's your first memory?
I suppose maybe the likes of Remittance Man. I can kind of remember. I do remember Pearly Man and things like that. But I remember looking at Remittance Man, thinking, God, I'd love to ride him. He looked like a won an Arkle, and then I was with Richard Dunwoody a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about obviously he rode Waterloo Boy instead of him and things like that because it was his job at the time. And but you could tell that
That's right.
that was the one race that bugged him. He never won the champion chase
Because Jamie Osborne
He
rode
never
him.
won it, didn't it? Right.
Yeah, and I end up riding the wrong one a few times and different things. And
What was your first ride in the champion chase?
I'd say Moscow.
Moscow was probably
I'd say probably, yeah. This Champion Chase, 2003. Yeah.
really. And then sort of course, we talk about Sprinter Sacre now. The three of us, well, you sort of got him at the top of your list as well then. But when he came back, obviously, after his heart issues, and when he came back to win that champion chase.
I didn't see it coming. He'd been, 18 months in the wilderness. And I had taken over from AP as first jockey to JP, was still based in Seven Barrows. But then he popped back in the scene, and even in going into the champion chase, it wasn't, there was a chance it could happen, but it was actually magical when it did happen. And I mean that as a racing fan watching on, having, had so many great days with him, with Nicky, and with Nico in the yard as well. There wasn't, I remember taking stock of the moment, as in how does this feel? Because it was kind of not ideal, but it was such a great achievement. you had to celebrate it, enjoy it, and be happy for people, you know. And I wouldn't say that in every case when you watch a horse winning that you would have liked to have ridden.
It
But that was bigger than
Easier one to take than your average.
it was bigger than the day. It was a massive one to see him come back. Like the day I pulled him up in Kempton, you know, like that was a bit surreal. Like, and then
What happened? Like,
what happened afterwards? And then he, as I say, he was lost for 18 months. So,
and not just because he was so good either, but he did have great presence. He did have a presence.
wow.
You know, he was
Never seen a horse like him physically, have you?
proper good looking.
Yeah, as a specimen.
There was that day, not dissimilar to the previous story, but the day when he turned up in a match against Peddler's Cross. It was either a match or
in
a free run
Kempton.
a race. Yeah. You were on him.
I was on him, in the way where
And again, you know, Peddler's Cross, champion early runner-up, his favourite.
Yeah.
And in they walked to the paddock, and Peddler's Cross was a sweet little horse, like really well made, well put together, classy little horse. In comes this thing, and you just thought, well, you may as well stop the fight now, boys, because this is only going one way. And I remember saying it, and Donald McCain was furious and rang me up and said, "I can't believe you could be this disloyal. You know, I thought you were really supportive of the horse." I went, "It's a man against a boy."
I was weighing out for it. I was waiting for Nicky with the saddle, and Donald had come in to get Jason's saddle, and get on well with Donald and Jason. So I just said to Donald, I said, you know, this isn't their biggest day, you know, as in, you know, gee, let's mind each other. Yeah, let's not, you know. I thought so much of my fella. I was just didn't want a bad experience, if you like. So and Donald just turned to me and says, "You look after your lad when he comes off the bridle." I says, "Donald, he won't come off the bridle."
There's no danger of that then.
Yeah. So, but I was, you know, when you're overthinking.
Yeah.
And I just, you know, because I knew Donald likes to go hard from the front. And I said, Donald's going to go like mad. This is going to be carnage. But anyway, it wasn't. He didn't even jump great, and I was gone past him after 3 fences.
Anyway, we're near the end. Are you going to make a decision?
No,
Yeah,
you
are you
got
still gonna
the decision.
This is the one I was really excited about for you, exactly which way you were going
ride
to.
both of them.
Yeah.
They're going to divide the championship.
2 divisions of a champion chase.
They probably did that once upon a time.
All right,
Yeah.
come on. We can. Musk has gone a bit old. We'll run him in the Ryanair, Jesse.
Step him up in trip
Can
then.
you imagine? And that's probably what would have happened nowadays as well.
Well, potentially, yeah.
No, Jessie would always have a go, wouldn't she?
Jesse, I'm telling you, we decided to be better for further. Nicky, and you're staying with Nicky. Come on, you have 2 parties instead of 1.
We know exactly what Barry would have been saying. But I think general consensus between the 4 of us, sort of, is that Sprinter Sacre is our ultimate 2-mile chaser. And then we're in a fair bit of disagreement for those afterwards. But as I say, our general consensus, though, is that Sprinter Sacre is our ultimate 2-mile chaser. Have we got it right, though? Do let us know your own verdict in the comments section below. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much to the guys for all of their hard work. They're still debating and carrying on with it. This has been Inside Track the Debate. Make sure you stay tuned for plenty more episodes coming your way. Well, thank you again for watching Inside Track the Debate, brought to you by William Hill. If you'd like to look back at our previous episode where we rank our top 5 greatest jump jockeys, then click the link in the video. Stay tuned for plenty more episodes coming your way. 18+, please be gamble aware.